Good morning, one and all. Myself, Nandi Mansa. Today, we are here to present the student study project of Jignasa. The title is Prevalence of Gastrointestinal Helminth Parasites of Chicks in Karimnagar, Telangana. I am going to introduce our team members, Vamshi, Pranamsha, Tejashri, Akila, and Saumika. It is done under the guidance of B. Shiris Kumar sir.
Coming to the introduction, livestock is a vital part of agriculture industry generating high quality goods including dairy, wool, meat and eggs. The elements responsible for the continued growth of poultry industry in many countries are poultry eggs and efficiency in converting vegetable protein into animal protein. Annual growth rate of livestock products in 23 egg production was 6.77 while broiler production was 4.52. According to animal product statistics, the egg contribution by the improved foals was higher, which is 88.41 compared to desi poults, which is 10.73. This is about Gallus domestic classification. Introduction. Coming to the poultry production system, basically there are two types of poultry production system. The modern intensive, the old was scavenging. Village chickens are maintained mostly under the free-range living system with partial or no housing, which predisposes them to the parasitic illness of parasite, particularly Helminth. These parasite causes anemia due to blood loss, can cause diarrhea, poor absorption of nutrients, anorexia, enteritis, thereby affecting birth growth and egg production. Coming to the relevance, based on the observations of poultry production system and talk with the farmers in the study region, it is clear that poor production of chicken products due to the widespread of parasitic illness and mismanagement. As a result, the study goal was to determine the frequency of gastrointestinal Helminth parasite species conformation in broilers, layers and domestic fowls which are cause for illness, as well as the current status of chicken living in Karimnagar urban neighborhood.
Coming to the study objectives, collection and identification of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites from the slaughter chicken. To investigate the taxonomic status of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites from the intestine of the chicken in the study region. To assess the prevalence of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites from different chickens. Coming to the methodology, it includes study area, collection and identification of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites, microscopic examination, study of taxonomic status, assessment of prevalence, and statistical analysis of the data. Coming to the study area, the study of a project is done in Karimnagar city areas including Rekurti, Arepalli and Sitarampur. Coming to the collection and identification of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites, the viscera of freshly slaughtered fowls were collected from different slaughterhouses present in Karimnagar. In addition, we collaborated with Animal Disease Diagnosis Laboratory Karimnagar to examine the infected postmortem chicken for this investigation. The gastrointestinal tracts of 54 fowls were examined and among them, 18 were domesticated chickens, 18 were broilers and 18 were layers. The gastrointestinal Helminth parasites were extracted from the dissected gut. These are the photos concerned to our project.
Coming to the taxonomic status of the gastrointestinal Helminth parasite, the worms observed under the microscope as per morphology, the taxonomic status can be studied. Coming to the estimate the prevalence of the gastrointestinal Helminth parasites, the data for the prevalence were recorded and computed in accordance with Margolist et al. The prevalence of parasites computed using formula, the total prevalence is equal to the number of infected fowls with gastrointestinal Helminth divided by the total number of fowls examined into 100. Coming to the statistical analysis of the result data. The current study uses the statistical approaches to analyze and distribute the chickens, the gastrointestinal Helminth parasites throughout the study region. The observation data was expressed as a mean of triplicate observation. The data was statistically analyzed using the chi-square goodness of fit test. The statistical significance was set to a significance difference in the value at p is less than or equal to 0.05. Let's see about our results. Coming to the collection and identifications of the gastrointestinal Helminth parasites. In the present study, 3 distinct breeds of chickens were checked for the gastrointestinal infections in 18 layers, 18 broilers and 18 domesticated chickens. After the examinations, cystodes and nematodes were detected in their intestines. Coming to the taxonomic status of the gastrointestinal Helminth parasites discovered in the chicken's intestines in the research locations. Here the cystodes were confirmed as the Devinia proglottina and Trialentina tetragona. Coming to the nematodes, there is only one nematode was observed, that is Ascadia galli. It causes ascadiasis disease to poultry. Coming to the prevalence of the gastrointestinal Helminth parasites in different chickens, the current investigation revealed the prevalence of the infections in broilers 3.00, in layers 4.00, in domesticated chickens 4.67.
Coming to overall prevalence of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites among different chickens, out of 54, 35 were infected by parasites and the prevalence is 64.8%. Let's see about breed-wise prevalence of gastrointestinal Helminth parasites in different chickens. It was observed that 9 broilers, 12 layers and 14 domestic chicks were infected by parasites and the prevalence is 50%, 66.7% and 77.8% respectively. Chi-square value for this observation is 1.093. Coming to prevalence of different types of gastrointestinal helminth parasites among different chickens. Out of 54, 20 were infected by cystode and 15 were infected by nematode, and the prevalence is 37.1% and 27.8% respectively. Chi-square value for this observation is 0.714. Coming to species-wise prevalence of gastrointestinal helminth parasites among different chickens. Out of 54, 17 were infected by Ralentina and 3 were infected by Davinia and 15 were infected by Ascrinia, and the prevalence is 31.5%, 5.6% and 27.7% respectively. Chi-square value for this observation is 9.88. Coming to distribution of gastrointestinal helminth parasites in different chickens. In case of broilers, out of 18, 4 were infected by Ralentina and the prevalence is 22.3% and no Davinia. 3 were infected by Ascaridia galli and the prevalence is 16.7%. In case of layers, 6 were infected by Ralentina and the prevalence is 33.4%. And 1 were infected by Davinia and the prevalence is 5.6%. 4 were infected by Ascaridia and the prevalence is 22.3%. In case of domestic chicks, 7 were infected by Ralentina and the prevalence is 38.8%. 2 were infected by Davinia and the prevalence is 11.2%. 8 were infected by Ascaridia and the prevalence is 44.5%. This is the graphic representation for it.
Coming to the discussion, parasites are one of the most damaging agents in poultry, causing major economic loss. By the observation, it was determined that all chick breeds had cystode and nematode infections. By the observation, the prevalence of gastrointestinal helminth parasites was greater in domestic chicks, that is about 77.8%, then broilers, which is 50%, and layers, which is 66.7%. Highest prevalence was found in extensive poultry system than intensive poultry system. Comparatively, cystode infections were greater than nematode infections. When gastrointestinal helminth parasitic infections were analyzed by the species, it was discovered that the infection of Roylentina is greater than Ascardia and the Davenia in case of broilers and layers. In case of domestic chicks, the infection of Ascardia is greater than Roylentina and the Davenia. These were linked to several factors such as host characteristics, management factors, and the geoclimatic circumstances, among others. Coming to the conclusion, the first conclusion is that parasitic diseases are the major cause of the financial loss, resulting in enormous productivity reduction. The current study intends to determine the low prevalence of Davenia, high prevalence of Ascardia, and the moderate prevalence of Roylentina. To address this issue, the primary focus should be on the cleanliness of farming conditions. It is recommended that well-planned bird feeding on sanitary land be adopted. Extension programs are frequently used to teach the rural farmers. The final conclusion is that effective anthelmintic use which minimize the drug resistance. This is our project. Thank you.